10 Daily Habits Every Woman Must Master, Jefferson Fisher, motivation. If you've ever felt like you're pouring into everyone else and leaving nothing for yourself, if you've ever looked in the mirror and thought, there has to be more to me than this daily burnout, then this message is for you. This isn't another surface level list of to-dos. This is about reclaiming your rhythm, your peace, and your power as a woman. Because real transformation doesn't begin with big leaps, it starts with small, intentional choices that you make every single day. So lean in. These 10 daily habits aren't just suggestions, they're lifelines for every woman ready to stop surviving and start owning her life. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you won't just feel inspired, you'll feel equipped to rise. Self-respect is the foundation for every habit, every boundary, and every decision a woman makes. Without it, even the best routines feel empty and forced. You can wake up early, journal, drink water, hit the gym, but if you're doing it from a place of guilt or fear of judgment, not love and value for yourself, then it's just another performance. Self-respect is not arrogance, and it's not about putting yourself above anyone else. It's about knowing deep down that you are worth your own effort. It's about recognizing your time, energy, and peace as valuable resources that deserve protection, not just distribution. When a woman operates from self-respect, she stops chasing validation and starts choosing alignment. She no longer tries to prove her worth by overworking, overgiving, or over-explaining. She doesn't say yes to everything because she's afraid to disappoint people. She says yes when it honors her, when it serves her purpose, when it fits her values. She becomes aware of her emotional energy and no longer apologizes for pulling back when she's depleted. She knows she doesn't owe anyone an explanation for preserving her mental space. Self-respect teaches a woman to be intentional with her presence. She doesn't enter rooms trying to be the loudest voice or the most liked person. She enters rooms knowing she brings value just by being herself, without changing her tone, her truth, or her boundaries to make others comfortable. She no longer entertains relationships that cost her her peace. She no longer tolerates being half loved, half heard, or half seen, because she knows that if she disrespects herself just to stay connected to others, she loses more than she gains. A woman with self-respect is not afraid of solitude. She sees alone time not as loneliness, but as an opportunity to reconnect with her mind, her goals, her spirit. She doesn't rush into friendships, commitments, or love out of desperation. She moves with discernment. She knows her value doesn't increase when someone notices her. Her value is already intact. She's already whole. That truth doesn't shift based on who stays or who leaves. The habits built on self-respect are sustainable. They come from love, not fear. A morning routine becomes sacred, not stressful. Exercise becomes a celebration of strength, not a punishment for eating. Boundaries are no longer walls of defense. They're doors of clarity that say, this is who I am, this is what I allow, this is what I won't tolerate. She no longer craves chaos or drama because her peace matters more than temporary pleasure. Her standards are no longer negotiable just to fit in because she finally knows she belongs to herself first. And from that place, she creates a life that reflects her power, not her pain. Small wins shape big change. It's not the massive overnight shifts that transform your life, it's the daily, quiet, often unseen decisions that build momentum. For every woman who feels like she's behind, like she should be further along by now, hear this. Your progress isn't measured by how dramatic your transformation looks on the outside, it's measured by how consistently you choose growth, even when no one else notices. Big change doesn't start with a life overhaul. It starts with getting out of bed when it would have been easier to stay under the covers. It starts with drinking water instead of reaching for that third cup of coffee. It starts with putting your phone down and having an honest conversation with yourself. These moments feel small, but they're actually powerful seeds. When a woman decides to celebrate small wins, she reclaims her power. She stops waiting for the perfect conditions, the perfect version of herself, or the perfect approval from others to begin. She starts now with what she has from where she is. And every time she follows through on a small promise to herself, she builds trust. That self-trust becomes the foundation of her confidence. It's not about doing everything right. It's about doing one thing better consistently. And when she looks back a month, 3 months, or a year from now, she'll see how those little moments stacked into her life that looks and feels entirely different. Small wins are also how you break cycles. You don't stop overthinking by just telling yourself to calm down. You do it by pausing for 30 seconds to breathe before reacting. You don't magically become confident one day. You become confident every time you speak up when it's uncomfortable, every time you show up even when you feel unseen. You don't build discipline by waking up at 5 a.m. once, you build it by choosing not to hit snooze today. Not forever, just today. That's the beauty of small wins. They allow you to stay present, to manage your goals in bite-sized pieces, and to stop feeling overwhelmed by the pressure to fix everything all at once. Every woman has moments when doubt creeps in. when the scale doesn't move, the inbox is overflowing, and the to-do list feels like it's mocking her. But that's when small wins matter most. Choosing to rest instead of quitting, choosing to start over instead of giving up, choosing to say, this isn't perfect, but it's progress. The world might not clap for you when you make those quiet decisions, but your soul will. And one day, all those seemingly small wins, they'll be the reason you're standing in a version of your life that once felt impossible. And that's not just change, that's real power. Boundaries are self-love in action. They are not walls to shut people out. They are doors that let the right people in and keep the chaos out. For every woman who's ever felt drained, disrespected, or overlooked, understand this. Your boundaries are not selfish, they are sacred. Every time you say no to something that doesn't align with your values, you are saying yes to your peace. Every time you protect your emotional space, you are declaring that your well-being matters. Boundaries are how you teach the world how to treat you, but more than that, they're how you treat yourself. When a woman lacks boundaries, she loses herself in pieces. She says yes when she means no. She overextends, over-apologizes, and overcompensates because she fears rejection or conflict. But each time she does that, she chips away at her own identity. She becomes a version of herself that lives for approval, not authenticity. She starts shrinking to fit into places she was never meant to stay in. She tolerates things that go against her spirit just to keep the peace, but it's a peace that costs her everything. True peace isn't the absence of conflict with others. It's the presence of alignment within yourself. Boundaries are the most honest expression of love you can offer because they're rooted in truth. Not everyone will like them. Some people will push back. Some will call you distant, difficult, or selfish. But the people who truly love you, they will adjust. They will respect the space you need. They will not ask you to abandon yourself to stay connected to them. You do not have to choose between being kind and having boundaries. You can do both. In fact, they go hand in hand, because when you operate from self-respect, kindness isn't weakness, it's strength that doesn't beg for validation. And the more you practice setting boundaries, the more powerful and clear you become. You begin to recognize the difference between obligation and genuine care. You no longer say yes just to avoid guilt. You understand that you don't owe your time, energy, or access to anyone who cannot handle them with honor. You protect your mornings, you protect your energy. You don't answer every message right away. You don't attend every event. You stop justifying your limits and instead you own them. And that ownership feels like freedom. A woman who sets boundaries doesn't push people away. She attracts people who are healthy enough to handle real connection. Because boundaries are clarity, not rejection. They make room for mutual respect. They eliminate confusion. They filter out chaos. And most importantly, they keep you rooted in your worth. Every time you uphold a boundary, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable, you are choosing yourself. That's not just self-care, that's self-love in motion. That's how healing begins. That's how you take your power back without raising your voice or burning out. You don't have to beg for peace, you build it, one boundary at a time. Your routine is your power source. It's not just a list of tasks or a rigid schedule. It's the structure that holds you steady when life feels chaotic. For every woman juggling work, relationships, responsibilities, and emotions, there is a place of peace you can return to every single day. Your routine. It's your anchor. It's how you ground yourself before the world tries to pull you in 100 different directions. You don't create a routine because life is perfect. You create it because life isn't. And without a rhythm that supports your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being, you become reactive instead of intentional. Your days blur, your focus scatters, and you start surviving instead of thriving. When a woman owns her routine, she reclaims her control. She stops waiting for motivation and starts relying on discipline. She doesn't need the stars to align to show up for herself. She shows up because she said she would. That kind of consistency builds confidence. And confidence doesn't just come from what you accomplish, it comes from what you commit to. A solid routine is a declaration, I matter enough to create time for what nourishes me. Whether it's 5 minutes of quiet in the morning, a walk after lunch, journaling at night, or simply turning your phone off for an hour, these small rituals keep you centered. They remind you that you are not at the mercy of your circumstances. You are building your day on purpose. The power of a routine isn't in how fancy or flawless it is, it's in how much peace it brings you. It removes unnecessary decisions, which removes stress. It gives your mind clarity, your body rhythm, and your soul room to breathe. You no longer have to guess what your next step is when life feels loud. Your routine becomes your reset. It becomes your safe place. Even on the days when your mood is low, your energy is scattered, or everything around you feels like too much, your routine gently pulls you back to yourself. Some women see routine as boring or limiting, but the truth is routine frees you. It creates space for creativity, for rest, for intentional living. When you know what your body needs, what your spirit craves, and what your priorities are, you stop wasting time on things that don't feed your growth. You no longer let everyone else's urgency determine your day. You protect your mornings because they shape your mindset. You protect your evenings because they restore your peace. You understand that emotional clarity doesn't come from scrolling or hustling. It comes from slowing down, getting grounded, and reconnecting to your why. A powerful routine is one you design, not one the world hands to you. And when you build that kind of structure around your values, your rest, your faith, your health, everything shifts. You start leading your life instead of reacting to it. You feel steady even when storms hit. That's the power of routine. It doesn't make life perfect, it makes you unshakable. Grace over guilt is the mindset shift every woman needs in order to grow without breaking herself in the process. Guilt tells you that if you're not doing everything perfectly and all the time, then you're failing. Grace whispers that progress is still progress, even if it's messy. Guilt weighs you down with the pressure to be everything for everyone. Grace reminds you that showing up for yourself is more than enough. In a world that constantly demands more of women, more productivity, more giving, more perfection, grace becomes a radical act of self-respect. It says you don't have to earn rest. You don't have to apologize for needing space. You don't have to be all things to all people to prove your worth. When a woman leads her life with grace, she stops punishing herself for being human. She doesn't spiral when she misses a workout, forgets a task, or needs a moment to fall apart. She understands that one bad day doesn't erase all the good she's built. She no longer allows guilt to be her motivator because she knows guilt is a liar. It pushes you to perform instead of heal. Grace, on the other hand, gives you permission to pause, reset, and return. It's what makes growth sustainable, because growth that's rooted in guilt will eventually lead to burnout, resentment, and emotional exhaustion. But growth built on grace gives room for learning, evolving, and strengthening without tearing yourself down in the process. Grace doesn't mean you stop trying, it means you stop shaming yourself when your pace changes. It allows you to embrace where you are, even as you aim for where you want to be. It reminds you that your worth is not tied to your productivity, that your softness isn't weakness, that your healing won't always look like a straight line. Some days you'll crush your goals, some days you'll barely make it out of bed. And grace holds space for both. It reminds you that you're not behind, you're becoming. Women are often taught to hold themselves to impossible standards, to never complain, to never slow down, to never fall short. But grace disrupts that. It allows you to look at yourself with compassion instead of criticism. It lets you celebrate small wins without demanding perfection. It teaches you to forgive yourself quicker, to try again without shame, and to love the process as much as the outcome. Grace is not a weakness, it's a strength that keeps you grounded in truth while moving forward in purpose. A woman who chooses grace over guilt doesn't abandon discipline, she simply learns to balance it with humanity. She still holds herself to a high standard, but she no longer self-destructs when she misses the mark. She understands that her journey is not a race, and her identity isn't defined by how flawlessly she performs. Grace gives her room to breathe, to grow, and to start over as many times as she needs. That's not failure, that's freedom. That's how you rise, not with pressure, but with permission to be real. You don't become powerful by accident. You become powerful by choice. One habit, one boundary, one moment of grace at a time. Every single day is an opportunity to step into the woman you're becoming. These 10 habits aren't about doing more, they're about becoming more aligned, more grounded, and more intentional with your energy. You deserve a life that reflects the depth of who you are, not just the demands of what others expect. And it all starts with how you show up for you. Because the truth is, when you master your daily habits, you don't just change your schedule, you change your standard. Thank you for choosing growth, for taking this moment to pour back into yourself. I see you, I honor your effort. Keep showing up even when it's hard, even when no one claps, even when the progress feels slow. Because you're not starting over, you're rising higher. Good luck on your journey, and always remember, your habits shape your life, but your heart shapes the impact. Keep going, you've got this.